I really hope that I'm ready for this. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with the finale, episode 8 of Hazbin Hotel. And series is too goddamn short, you know? Or the season, rather. I'm not ready for this to end. I've, no joke, watched every episode up to this point probably a dozen times. Just because of various reactions and whatnot. As well as, watching with my sister. And it's just not enough. Like, I said this, I think, at the beginning of the series, but I know that, like, 6 to 8 to 10 episodes are pretty common nowadays for a season, especially when it's released on streaming. But it just feels like there should and needs to be more. And I know a second season's confirmed. I know they've already started working on the recording for that. It's probably going to come out either the end of this year or beginning of next year. But still, it's like, I just wish there were like at least 10 episodes instead of just 8, you know? It just feels like there's too few. For how long we've been waiting for this, it's just too few. And I know that might be more of a me thing than anything, but still. I just don't want it to end. Because after this, we'll have a long wait. Like, even though there will be plenty of other stuff to watch in the meantime, it's like, it just feels like it went by too quickly. And part of that reason is because of the release. Because it released in the way that it did, it basically made sure that it went by too quickly. Because think about it. They put out the first 4 episodes, literally the first half of the season, on day 1. And then the next week they put out 5 and 6, and the week after that, 7 and 8. 3 weeks. Not even a full month. And the season was entirely out. And it's all because of this stupid binge model. And I'm not going to go into a huge rant about that again because I've already done so, but it's such a terrible decision. Because normally this would be like 2 months worth of content for 8 episodes. It should have been released weekly. 1 episode a week. And it proved impossible to just react to 1 episode a week. I had to start like doing 2 episodes a week just to avoid spoilers. Because everybody was talking about this series. Honestly, I don't think I've seen this much attention for a series in a long time. It got huge. And it was to the point where I couldn't avoid spoilers. Without, like, going through the episodes faster. Because they were everywhere. I have not been as active on Twitter as I once had been. I have not been active pretty much anywhere as much as I had been. Because I've been avoiding even going onto those platforms a lot more. And when I do, I have to like scroll really fast past anything that even looks like it could be Hazbin Hotel. Because, people just don't care about spoiling other people. And luckily, I have managed to actually avoid seeing most everything outside of, like, I don't know, a random screen cap here and there that didn't really tell me anything. I think the only, like, notable thing that I was spoiled on was that Rosie was in the last episode. But considering she hadn't showed up outside of, like, episode 3, having a brief cameo at that point, I kind of figured she probably had to. So it wasn't even really that big of a spoiler. It just, it was a spoiler that, because I didn't know it was going to happen, or that the episode was going to be named after it, but, you know. Either way, either way, this is just one of the big problems with streaming. One of the big problems with the fact that streaming has become so huge, and that a good number of shows, probably most at this point, are released via streaming rather than television. But, I mean, unfortunately, it's probably not going to change at all. This is just the world we live in now. It's really unfortunate, but luckily most shows I don't have to worry about this with. It's really, at this point, I think it's really only Hazbin Hotel and One Piece that have given me this much issue with spoilers. So, anywho, last time, Charlie and Vaggie had a little bit of a falling out because, not because of Vaggie being an angel, but because she didn't tell Charlie. Charlie was upset that she didn't feel like Vaggie trusted her enough with that. And so they ended up kind of going their separate ways after Charlie made a deal with Alistair. Not for her soul, but she owes him a favor in the future. It won't hurt anyone. That was made clear, but it will be a favor, and that could be anything at this point. And considering the fact that I do believe that Alistair being on a leash, as Husk said, is him probably being owned by Lilith in the same way that he owns the souls of, like, Husk and whatnot. I feel like it has something to do with that. I think that they're trying to make Alistair seem a lot more sinister than he actually is. I think he's doing something for Lilith. I don't think it's something bad, but we just don't know what it could be at this point. But I think Lilith is off somewhere doing something, and Alistair's kind of like watching over things for now, as well as trying to do something on her behalf. Maybe we'll find out this episode, maybe we won't. Maybe that'll be a mystery to continue moving into for season 2. Either way, after this, Charlie and Vaggie split up and went their separate ways to continue to prepare for the oncoming extermination. Vaggie went to Carmilla Carmine's to find out how she killed an angel and, just get some help with that. Meanwhile, Charlie went to Cannibal Town with Alistair. He introduced her to Rosie, who I already loved her a lot just off of my first impression, my first time watching the episode last time. I've watched it again. I've watched the episode so many more times by now, and it's like she's one of my favorite characters. Might even be top for me. I'm gonna have to think about that a bit, but and also see how characters are utilized in this episode. But she might be top tier for me. I adore the shit out of Rosie. I don't know. I don't think she's gonna beat Angel Dust, but she might be number 2 for me. Either way, so yeah, Carmilla gives Vaggie a little bit of a fight, But Vaggie proves herself that she's willing to fight for love, and that's what Carmilla wants to see. So Carmilla does help her with the info that she needs, that holy weapons, angelic weapons, can kill angels. It's really that simple. And that is what she did. She had angelic silver um, built into her heels, and that's how she killed the angel. Vaggie also got her wings back during the fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's utilized in the final battle. Meanwhile, Rosie is very happy to help Charlie, but they're still convincing the rest of Cannibal Town. And while Susan is there and makes that a bit difficult, Charlie perseveres, especially after a heartwarming, beautiful talk with Rosie about love and about the issue she's going through with Vaggie. It not only helps resolve Charlie and Vaggie's conflict, but it also helps with the conflict of getting the cannibals on their side. So Charlie sings with Alistair and Rosie and the cannibals, of course, the song that we have been kind of waiting for since we first saw the trailer. Ready for this. And easily one of the best songs of the season. It's layered with multiple different styles in it, and it's so triumphant. It is such a triumphant, powerful song. And although it does end with Charlie saying, "I hope that I'm ready for this," you can tell that she is ready, that everyone there is ready to fight, and that it's going to be one hell of a fight. It's really cool to see how on board and how cool about all of this Rosie is, and to kind of see Charlie come into her own. It's, I think, a really big moment for her character, because she's shown to have trouble with that kind of stuff throughout the season. But they bring the assistant they received, both Charlie and Vaggie, to the hotel. They meet up with the others who are remaining there still to help out, even though they were given an out. And Charlie and Vaggie reconcile and prepare for war. Everything is coming down to this. The final episode. And there's still a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of things that we're not going to find out in this season. But I'm very excited to see what kind of resolutions for this season there are and what kind of setups for the next we get. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's just get this started. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So let's start with that last bit there. Lilith is in heaven. She's been there, presumably, for these past 7 years. So, could she still be the one who has Alistair on a leash? Because we heard with Alistair, he was saying, he wants his freedom. And he wants to take control again. But if she's been up there... I don't know. It raises a lot of questions. But we see that Lute has gone to her and is saying, if you want to stay up here, you have to go down and stop Charlie. So there was some kind of deal being made for her being allowed to stay up there. Probably something to do with the exterminations. Though those started well before this. Before 7 years ago. So I can't think of anything. That's the thing. We'll definitely find out in season 2. Like, that's very obvious setup for season 2. Lilith is going to come into play as a character, and that's going to be a big thing. It seems like she's probably going to be an antagonist, at least at first, but I think she's going to end up becoming a good guy by the end. Now, we also see Serpentius arrive in heaven. He died in the battle, but because of how much he has changed, plus the fact that his death was through self-sacrifice in order to save and protect his friends and loved ones, that allowed him to enter heaven. He became an angel because he changed. The thing is, Charlie and them have no idea about this. They have no idea that it worked. That the hotel actively worked and that Serpentius not only survived, but was fully redeemed to the point where he is now in heaven. That's big information. Really big information. I'm kind of wondering if Emily's going to, like, come down and tell Charlie and them about this in season 2. Because it's obvious they've got to find out. It's just a matter of when and who tells them, how they find out, all of that jazz. It also kind of sucks that it's like right when, like, Serpentius and Cherry Bomb kind of start to become a thing, it's like, then he dies. Like, she was actually kind of into it at that point. Like, not only just because of the two dicks thing, but his confidence and him kissing her and everything, like, seemed to win her over. Like, she said that was kind of hot. And it was definitely his confidence. I think the reason why she wasn't attracted to him before was because, let's be honest, he lacked a lot of confidence. The entire thing in the bar, it's like, oh, I want to buy you a drink because I'm buying everyone drinks. It's like, yeah, that's... Yeah. And outside of, you know, just various, like, soldiers, cannibals, and everything, we did keep all of our other main characters, which I expected. Like, if I expected only maybe one person to die, and again, Serpentius just made the most sense. There was no way they were going to kill off any of the big ones. Charlie and Vaggie, obviously entirely safe. Angel Dust and Husk, completely safe. Like, not even a question. They had no chance of dying. Cherry Bomb really hadn't become part of the hotel yet, so I didn't really see her dying. It wouldn't make sense. Nifty would have been an interesting choice, but I just couldn't have seen it because we don't know anything about her yet, and I don't think they would kill her and then reveal all this shit about her. It just, again, would not make sense. So honestly, Serpentius is the only one that really worked in that regard. He's the only one that, like, really made any kind of sense. Because, I mean, obviously you're not going to kill Alistair. Now, one of the goat boys, Razzle or Dazzle, I'm not actually 100% sure which one. I think it was only one of them that was killed, right? I think only one actually died. And now I don't. If I'm being honest here, and this might sound a little mean, I don't really count them as full characters because they've appeared maybe twice in the season, and for like maybe a second or two. They have such they're basically non-characters. They're just there occasionally. Like, they're just there. There's nothing else to it. So their deaths really didn't really mean much, if we're being completely honest here. But Loot, like intentionally ripped off her arm to escape. So that's interesting. And Adam is just fucking dead. Adam was already pretty damn hurt, but they were gonna spare him. Then Nifty came along. It's like stab, stab, stab. You know. So Adam is just fucking dead. Now, I wonder if Serpentius died and went to heaven. If Adam dies here because of how he was, would he go to hell? Like, that would be a really fascinating twist. If Adam ended up spawning in hell as a demon at this point. He would hate that as well. So that would be pretty fun. Um we still don't really know anything about what happened to Eve. So that could come into play in season 2 as well. Eve might be brought into the story. Because we obviously know about Lilith's history, but not Eve's at all. And going back to Lilith again, why is she in heaven in the first place? Like, okay, wanted a vacation and whatnot, sure, but that's just what we assume. We don't know if that's actually the case. We don't know if she's actually taking a break from, her duties in hell or whatnot. We have no clue what the story is there. So it's going to be interesting to find out more about that. The battle was pretty much what I expected it to be. I didn't quite expect that Alistair was going to take on Adam, though it does kind of make sense. Because while Charlie is more powerful, Alistair is more, practiced with his abilities as well as just more aggressive. Charlie is technically more powerful, but is, mostly pacifistic. So she was never going to be like the biggest fighter in this. And she wasn't. She was not really fighting as much. She had a shield. She was more defending and only fought when she absolutely had to. Vaggie was more of the fighter between the two of them. And then everyone else, of course, as well. So yeah, it's interesting to see her go full demon form, though. We did finally get to see it, and we got to see it for Lucifer as well. He came in late to the battle, but he still came into the battle and helped fight. He helped fight Adam, and I liked that when Charlie basically told him to, show mercy and stuff, he listened right away. He didn't argue. He didn't, even, complain about it. He was fully on board with what she wanted to do there because he trusted her. And that's great to see. Let's talk about the songs. So the first song there was a reprise. It was very short. And it was just, Charlie and Vaggie prepared for the battle, just comforting each other as it's about to start. It's very cute. It's very nice, but it's so short, and that does take a little bit away from it for me. It's just barely there, you know? The second song at the end, I guess I'll call it The Show Must Go On, because that's what Lucifer said. I don't know what the actual title of it is right now, but it kind of combined the themes from different songs previously shown, and it very much felt like a finale song. Like, oh, we're building the hotel back better than ever. We're getting things back on track. We're getting ourselves back on track. And everything's going to be better than ever before. So, yeah, very genuinely interesting in that regard. But it wasn't the most exciting song. It's like it felt like a good wrap up to the season, but that's kind of it. It's like it was just okay. It wasn't anything special. And I don't think I would put either of these songs near the top of the list personally. Obviously, I'm going to have to hear them again to really get a proper feel. Um, but I don't think I would put either of them at the top of the list, um, or even really near it. There's too many other just great songs that overshadow them. But I think this was still a really, really good finale overall. It did a lot for the characters and the lore and a lot of setup, but at the same time, it also, was the big culmination of everything prior. It was mostly a big battle. And we got to see the V's a little bit because, let's be honest, we haven't seen much of them since, like, episode 3? Episodes 2 and 3, and then it's like they're just Valentino's in there in episode 4, but it's like, okay, we saw them in the first half. Let's put it that way. We saw them in the first half of the season, but since then, not really much at all. And it's not. I'm not saying that it's disappointing because obviously we had a lot of other stuff to focus on, but I just kind of would have liked to see a little more of them. And here they're, watching the battle and everything, and Vox is, getting overexcited. And at the end, they're basically talking about like how Hell's gonna belong to the V's. It's like, why do you think that any of this is over? You know, Alistair just retreated. You know he's not dead. How do you think you're gonna take over now? Like, what? Not really much has changed in that regard. The only thing that's changed is there's not going to be exterminations anymore, at least for the time being. So, what are you expecting to do here? Like, genuinely. Like nothing with the overlords has changed. I don't understand, but whatever. Um I'm hoping that when season 2 comes it gets more episodes. At least 10. Because it really does need it. And I'm not saying like that from any negative standpoint. I just want more episodes. 8 is just not enough. But yeah, this season as a whole was really good. It was a solid story that gave a lot of lead into the second season and showcased that the hotel does work, even if Charlie and them don't quite know that yet. It's an actively big deal. And it's really interesting, too, because Sarah was shocked. Emily was shocked, though excited. It's like, this is proven to work. Because they know who Sir Pentious is. They saw him in that vision, like, spy vision, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They saw him in that with Angel Dust and everyone else. Like, yeah, Charlie was trying to focus on Angel at that point, but let's be honest, like, they saw Sir Pentious there. They know he's part of the hotel. So, they knew exactly who he was when he appeared. That changes everything. I wonder if Sarah's going to turn around now that she knows. Because Sarah seemed like she was willing to hear them out. She just didn't believe in the idea that, they could change. she was willing to hear them out. She's better than Adam, but that's not hard to do. Um, but yeah, like, and at the end of the trial, we did see how she was kind of ignoring the evidence because she didn't believe that it was actually proving anything. Partially because they didn't even know what they needed to prove. I think Sarah could come around. I genuinely think she could. Emily, obviously, we know is all for this. We know she's on Charlie's side. This is gonna be big, and I think we're gonna see maybe even more of Heaven in season two. Um, we're probably gonna see some other new characters pop up. Uh, in Heaven, I mean, and probably have to maybe even deal with some higher ups than even Sarah. Like, show us God already. That would be a big deal. Or even bring in, like, I don't know what the heaven hierarchy is, because I don't think that's been revealed. We know what the hell hierarchy is, because that was revealed in Hell with Hell of a Boss. Like, Vivsy revealed that with Hell of a Boss airing and all. But we don't know the heavens hierarchy. But usually, based on what you hear, like, the names like Gabriel and Michael would be very up there. I don't know, like, in this world though, if the archangels are above or below the seraphim. It's hard to say. So, but those would be ones to definitely bring in. I do not know if Vivsy is going to go far enough to actually bring in, like, Jesus or God or something. That would be pretty insane. Maybe some of the disciples. I could see that. Like, I mean, we already have Saint Peter, so that's possible. I could see that. We'll have to see though. Just hard to say much of anything at this point. The only thing we know for sure is that Lilith is going to be a bigger character. She's going to be a character. She's going to actually come into play finally. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, is Lute going to try to do her own exterminations? Because the thing is, Katie Killjoy said in the broadcast that the exterminations were canceled, that they were over. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that they're just not going to happen anymore? And is Heaven agreeing on that? Or is Luke going to just try to, like, do her own vigilante thing? Or is she still going to be allowed to do, like, official exterminations? And if so, I don't think she would, by any means, agree to wait a year. So what the hell would happen there? After everything that happened here, after losing her arm, after losing Adam, she's not going to want to wait. So, but at the same time, she told Lilith that she needed to take care of things. So it seems like, at least for now, Lute is going to stay out of the fight. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. Also, I almost kind of wish Lute lost an eye instead of an arm, because that would have just been very thematically fitting, considering she took Vaggy's eye. I think that would have been just a lot better of a, payback for that. But I mean, the arm works. It's just, the eye would have been more, fitting and ironic. Um, yeah, there's so much to go over here. And I wish I could talk about everything, but I don't think I can. I'm probably forgetting quite a bit, and I'm just not really knowing what else to say in that regard. Um, but what I will say is that I am going to tack on to the end of this an extra little bit. So there's going to be like a little bit of a cut here. Um, so just bear with that, and we'll continue the last bit of the afterthoughts with that. So yeah, um, let's do that. Okay, so we will continue these afterthoughts with just showing off my favorite characters and also episode order rankings. So, yeah. We're not going to do songs because I'm going to make a separate video for that. And we'll also have a separate video for a new updated Smasher Pass for the Season 1. In the meantime, though, these are characters. The ones at the bottom here are ones I'm not sorting because they're either nothing characters who don't really have, a role or anything. They're just background characters. Or they're like this dinosaur overlord lady. They're just barely in there. And Lilith, she's going to be a Season 2 character, but she's not really a Season 1 character at all. She appears, like, literally once at the end of the season and is briefly shown in, like, a flashback once, so she doesn't count. But we're going to start from the bottom. So the very bottom tier is Valentino tier, and yeah, our only member of that tier is Valentino. There's no one worse. He gets his own tier. He is absolutely the worst of the worst in terms of characters in Season 1. There's nothing redeemable about him, nothing good about him at all. He's just the worst. Now, keep in mind, these are ranked also based on just personal thoughts on the character, not so much on, how good of a character are they, how well were they written. No, it's based on my thoughts on the character for the most part, how much I like them personally. So after Valentino, we go up to the hate, which is both Sarah and Adam right now. Adam is lower than Sarah for obvious reasons, but Sarah is still in there because, like I had said, she purposefully and intentionally ignored the evidence. All of the evidence was pointing towards Charlie being right, and even though there was, the confusion about what actually constitutes getting into heaven, like, she just ignored everything and said, okay, there's no proof whatsoever. So that brought her down into hate for me. The next category up is dislike, and it's just Mimsy. Mimsy is in the dislike tier because I dislike her. It's really as simple as that. But she's fucking annoying. Like, I know some people get a kick out of her, but she's fucking annoying. And she put everybody in danger out of selfishness. And that's just not my vibe. So after that, we go into the meh tier. These are characters who I don't really have a strong opinion on. They're just kind of there. And actually, we do need to make a little change to this. I've been making this list as the season's been going on. I'm actually going to move Cherry Bomb up to the top of it because she's starting to become more of an interesting character with this final episode. But she's still very meh. She hasn't really, become that much better for me. One question some people might have is, why is Emily here? It's like, Charlie's not here, and it's like, you probably like Charlie, so why is Emily here? Emily is a very bland Charlie clone. That's all she is. She's just Heaven's version of Charlie, and that's literally it. She has no other character besides that. And that's boring to me. Like, we don't need another Charlie. We have Charlie. She's a discount Charlie. That's all she is. She has nothing else to her character. And that's really disappointing to me. But yeah, you see like St. Peter in here down there. You see the Egg Boys, Tom Trench and Katie Killjoy. You have Fat Nuggets. They just don't have enough like either screen time or focus or, character to really say that they're good or bad in my opinion. Cherry Bomb, again, she moved up for me with this last episode, but she's still in the meh tier. Like, I can't put her any higher. The next tier up, though, is like. These are characters that I actively do like. They're characters that I very much enjoy as characters, but also ones that I enjoy just seeing whenever they appear. And your first thought here is, oh, you like Lute, but she's homophobic. She's terrible, just as terrible as Adam. And it's like, yeah, she is, but she's also very entertaining. Unlike Adam, who's just, a douchebag, Lute actually feels like more of a character. You know what I mean? Adam's just a douchebag archetype. That's all he is. Everything he is, everything he does is purely douchebag. Lute feels like there's more to her, and that might be explored in season 2. Plus, admittedly, I just like seeing her interact with other characters more. I like seeing her on screen. I like seeing her interact with Vaggie or Adam or anyone, really. She just is much more interesting of a character, and I enjoy seeing her on screen a lot more. And that's not even to mention that she's hot. Like, that's not the reason she's up here, but I just want to mention that. She is hot. But then you have, like, characters like Zestial, Alistair, Vox, and Nifty. Zestial and Vox definitely need more screen time. But I think both of them could be even higher. Alistair, like, if we were just talking from the pilot, would be in the meh tier, probably. Maybe even lower than that. Because I've talked about this before, but Alistair got, like, honestly, way too much focus in the pilot from, like, the audience. Like, they pretty much tried to make the entirety of Hazbin Hotel all about Alistair, and it got so annoying, it got so oversaturated that I got annoyed by him as a character. Because it's like, it kind of bled together. And I know that's not fair. But it kind of bled together. But I was willing to give him another chance. And the series made him a lot more interesting. It made him into more of a character. And now I'm not so bothered by his popularity anymore. I just feel like his popularity was overblown. Even before it became super overblown, like, even in the pilot, I was never, like, the biggest fan. He was never my favorite character. And I just think people, like, latched onto him very, very hard, and just, again, made everything about him. It's like he's not even, like, the secondary main character. Like, Charlie, Vaggie, Angel, they're all bigger characters than he is. And everyone just kind of, like, focuses only on him. It's a little annoying, if I'm being honest. But I did like him in the series, and he has a lot more depth to him. He's more of an actual character, and he's just more entertaining and fun. Plus, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I actually preferred Amir Talai's voice performance. I think that he was far better than Edward Bosco was. And Edward Bosco was great, don't get me wrong, but I just think Amir Talai nailed it in a way that Edward Bosco just didn't. But you also see, like, Nifty up here, and I think she would definitely be a character who would be higher up if we knew anything about her. Like, she is one of the most mysterious characters in this so far. After that, we move up to the love tier. These are characters that I absolutely love. Characters who are just fantastic and wonderful to me. So obviously you have the likes of Serpentius, you have Carmilla, you have Velvet, Husk, and Lucifer. All of them are fantastic characters with a lot of great depth, a lot of great character, a lot of great just moments in the series. In the season, I should say. All of them really shined, and I think I'm still happy with this order as well. I don't think I would change it too much. You might be surprised. It's like, oh, you put Velvet above Carmilla, but didn't you love Carmilla's, you know, motherliness and everything, and her, you know, fighting for love? It's like, yes, but Velvet's more entertaining. Velvet is more fun to watch. That is literally my reasoning for putting Velvet above her. Velvet is an absolute blast. I just really dig her. Serpentius definitely belongs up here, especially after the final episode. But I can't put him any higher either, because like while I really love him, he's just not my favorite. Lucifer, I absolutely love Lucifer. He's great, and Husk won a lot of points. Husk would be a lot lower for me too if we were just basing it on the pilot. I was not a big Husk fan in the pilot, but the series won me over, especially obviously episode 4. And then we go into the perfection tier, my top 4 favorite characters, and I actually have to make an adjustment here. And this is hard to make, but I have to put Rosie as number 2. Because when I first put her as number 4, that was after I had first watched the episode. I have watched the episode, episode 7, by the way, is what I'm talking about, many more times at this point. Again, like a dozen times. She's absolutely my second favorite character. I adore the shit out of her. I love her so goddamn much. Like, I've seen people saying that about Charlie and being, like, super excitable and loving about Charlie and her character and everything. That's me with, that's definitely me with her. Angel is still my favorite because of his depth and his strong character and also how far he's come. I absolutely fucking love Angel. I will always love Angel. He is my favorite Spider Boy. But Rosie is a very close number 2. She just won me over so hard, and I have to put her even above Charlie. But Charlie and Vaggie obviously go up here too. They're phenomenal characters. Their chemistry, their interactions with each other and others throughout the season. It's like they are the heart and soul of this series, without question. But just personally speaking, Angel and Rosie are just, you know, higher up for me, personally. So yeah, that's my list of favorite characters, and now I will go into favorite episodes. So, none of these episodes are below a B, and that's saying quite a lot. And the only B tier one we have is actually the pilot. The pilot is definitely the worst of everything we've gotten with Hazbin Hotel, and that's not to say it's bad, because again, it's B tier. It's just, I've watched the pilot again since, like, getting farther into this season, and you can tell the animation, while really good, needed work. It is so much drastically better in the actual series, which makes sense. I mean, that's just realistic. On top of that, a lot of the voice acting in the pilot definitely needed to be improved on, and obviously the series did that. And again, nothing against the original VAs. They did a great job, but there were certain lines and deliveries that, going back on it, especially after watching the series, just don't quite hit right. Something is off about them. Not to mention, the pilot feels, in some ways, like a bit of a mishmash of things. It doesn't feel as cohesively put together, which, again, makes sense. It's a pilot. It's meant to show off a bunch of things. It's showing off a bunch of characters all at once. It feels like there's a lot going on, almost too much at times. But then we go into A, and the next episode up is Welcome to Heaven. Luckily, because of the size of these thumbnails, ignore the hell of a boss ones down here, by the way. Because of the size and shape of these thumbnails, we can go one at a time, just moving up. So the bottom of the A tier is Welcome to Heaven. A lot of people, I think, would put this higher, but in my opinion, it's just kind of okay comparatively. Obviously, I mean, overall, it's great because it's an A tier, but compared to other episodes, it's just kind of okay. Um, it's not as entertaining, not as fun for the most part. Honestly, I was much more into the stuff happening in the club than I was in Heaven. Like, again, Emily being just kind of a Charlie clone felt a little lazy to me. And on top of that, the stuff with just Sarah and everything, it's like we knew how it was going to go. I didn't, like, no one should have expected that to go well. So it's like, we knew where it was going to end up. We, it just wasn't a big surprise. The biggest part of the episode was probably the reveal of Vaggie being an angel, but eh, honestly, eh. It's like that doesn't really save the episode as a whole. It just, again, it was still really good overall, but comparatively, it was the weakest episode of season one. Above that, we have the first episode, Overture. Um, this one was a good first episode, and it worked as a first episode. Let's just put it that way. Other than that, there's not really too much to it. It sets everything up really well, kind of reintroduces us to our characters from the pilot, and sets up the story arc for the season with Adam and everything going on. But other than that, there's not really much else to it. It's very simple, and it's meant to be. Again, it's meant to just get you into it before they really start the crazy stuff, before they really start like ramping the season up. So honestly, it just kind of makes sense that the first episode's not going to be that high for me. After that, we have Scrambled Eggs, which is episode 2? No, episode 3, sorry. That's episode 3. So Scrambled Eggs is the one with the meeting of the overlords and finding out that Carmilla's the one who killed the angel. This episode was a lot of fun, it had some amazing songs in it, and was honestly just a real big episode because it revealed something we've been wondering since the end of episode 1: who killed the angel. And it really introduced the overlord system a lot more, gave us a lot more great moments with our characters, and I just really like what they started to set up in there. A lot of great moments, a lot of great songs. Well, two great songs. There was two songs each episode. But yeah, it's like it wasn't anything more special than that though. Like, it could have been a little better, but it was still really good. Above that, we have Deadbeat Dad. I actually thought I think the title's actually Dad Beat Dad, isn't it? I think this might be wrong, unless I'm wrong. I thought it was Dad Beat Dad. Either way, so this episode is the one where we first meet Lucifer, and this is where it really starts to get good for me. This episode was fantastic. Again, great songs. Lucifer is an autistic gremlin, and I love him. And it really showcases some great moments with our characters and how they've started to interact, how they've started to connect with each other. And on top of it, how everything is kind of like moving along. This sets up for the Heaven episode pretty well. And it also just, gives us kind of some backstory into how Charlie's relationship with her parents is, which is something that we really didn't know. We never got really much of any information. The pilot implied implied that Lucifer was maybe abusive or at the very least, like, not the best person towards his daughter. But it's shown in this that instead he's just kind of, not been the best father, but not a bad guy. Just been more absentee since Lilith disappeared. And yeah, he and Charlie have had a little bit of a strained relationship, but it never was in the realm of abuse or any problems like that, luckily. But yeah, great songs, great character moments. Just really enjoyed this episode. Above that, though, we have Radio Killed the Video Star, episode 2. By the way, Dad Beat Dad was episode 5. Radio Killed the Video Star is like the series truly starting to get moving. After we had the first episode to just get us reintroduced to the world and everything, Radio Killed the Video Star amped it up. It gave us a lot more excitement, a lot more intrigue, introduced us to the V's, and really started to build this world. It felt like this was like where the series truly began. Because the first episode felt like, okay, we have to just reintroduce everything for those who may not have seen the pilot, and for those who have seen the pilot, but it's been years. We have to reintroduce everything, and so because of that, it felt like, a first episode. And it was great for what it was. But Radio Killed the Video Star allowed it to truly, branch out from that, to truly, become something more. And I feel like that's where it really started to shine. So then we have The Show Must Go On. This is our finale. This was this episode that you're watching the reaction for right now. The Show Must Go On was a great finale, and it really wrapped things up well while setting up things for the future with season 2. It wasn't the best episode, but it really did well at, closing the plot threads it needed to close, starting new ones, and even continuing ones that had been started already. It was a great battle. It felt like a fantastic climax to the season. Had some surprises, had some fun moments, and it proved Charlie's plan works. So it's just, overall, it's a great episode and deserves to be this high. But then we go into the S tier, and we have Hello, Rosie. I fucking love this episode. On every level. Charlie and Vaggy's fight, quote unquote, was necessary. Not only just because of, what had happened, but every couple has arguments. Every couple has fights. And of course, Vaggy and Charlie were always going to get over this, and were always going to come back together. But they needed this to showcase that this is a couple, that this is a real, genuine couple who are going to butt heads sometimes. And this specific issue with, Vaggy not telling Charlie this before about being an angel was a great thing to cover. And to show that Charlie is having some trust issues with her because of that. On top of that, you have the stuff with Vaggy going to see Carmilla and the Out for Love song, which was great. You get to see just a great moment between the two fight dancing, or dance fighting, however you want to say it, with each other. It's a really, really strong set of scenes for this episode. But obviously the highlight is Cannibal Town and Rosie. Rosie is the fucking sweetest character. She is so goddamn sweet, so goddamn nice, so just absolutely charming. I think I made a joke when I first reacted to episode 3. When we saw the Overlords, and, she gave that big smile to Frank when he saw her at the Overlord's table. I believe I made the joke she has a winning smile, and I stand by that, but she is so much more as a character. I really did not expect her to be as gentle and nice and caring and just amazing as she is, but she won me over so goddamn hard. And just every part of those scenes in Cannibal Town is just so entertaining and fun and just beautiful. Not to mention the song at the end, of course. But yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic episode, one of the best. But there is one above it, and it should be no surprise to anyone. Like I've said, favorite character here, Masquerade, episode 4 is my favorite. Episode 4 made me cry. It makes me cry every time I watch it, actually. Um, and not at the part you would think. You think I would cry during Poison, but no, I actually cry from the other song from Loser Baby, because it's so heartwarming and happy, and so triumphant and cute and likable and exciting, and just every positive word possible. It's such a great song, and I said it during that reaction, but it also means a lot to me. It's very personally impacting, and I think that's also part of the reason why I love the episode so much. There's personal impact in it for me, and it means so much to me. It's honestly the episode I was waiting for when this series started. I didn't know it was going to happen, but I was waiting for it nonetheless. When I first started this series, it's like, okay, when are we going to get an Angel episode? When are we going to get an episode that focuses on him and the issues he's going through? That is what I want. I didn't know it was going to be episode 4, and when we ended up getting to it, it's like it just did everything right. It was perfection, and is definitely my favorite episode of season 1, at least, and including the pilot, for Hazbin Hotel. But thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my reaction, and I would love to hear your afterthoughts. Tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Hazbin Hotel, the final episode of season 1? And tell me, who are your favorite characters, and what is your favorite episode of the show? Let me know down below, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.